Hello everybody, I'm back with another recipe. This is the homemade dumplings. Now, dumplings go with a lot of different dishes, and today I'm making it with the dumplings with the kabasi and cabbage. I make a chicken and dumplings. It's basically one of those foods that are just one of those poverty things too. It's just cheap to make. It's basically a noodle dough. You use it to make pierogies and whatnot. Um, I kind of got away from the traditional, but usually you make a hole in the middle. Also, I'm going to add some salt. I'm going to add some regular, this is about 2 cups of flour, what I've got here. This is about a teaspoon of salt, and I'm going to use just the regular table salt, iodized table salt, because I think that, I'm not even going to use that all. I used about a half a teaspoon to 2 cups of, let me just dump it in here to get it out of the way. I think it distributes it better. Although I use sea salt almost exclusively now, I think with this iodized salt in the flour, it kind of just gets in there a little better. So I'm just going to mix that around. And I still kind of sort of do it the old way, like the old, this is how the babushkas would do it. That's what my grandmother would say. And you make a hole and you crack your egg in the middle. And then, I'm not sure, I haven't done it this way in so long, but then I think you just keep adding the flour to the middle until you adding liquid in the middle. I just kind of got away from that. I just put this straight, and I'm going to use, instead of water, I'm going to use chicken broth. So I'm just going to put a little bit of chicken broth in there to get started. I'm going to break up my egg, and I'm just going to start mixing it in there. I don't really go with the old babushka way. And babushka, my grandma always said that babushka means old lady. Babushka is also the thing that they wear on their head, like a scarf or a kerchief. You wear it on your head and tie it under your chin. That's also a babushka. Now, if you're doing vegetarian, you definitely don't want to use the chicken broth. This is just something I've started to do lately. You can definitely just use water, and that's the original recipe. Or you could, put in a little bit of people put all sorts of things in dumplings. I used to put dried minced onions in it. People put potato dumplings. You can put in, like riced, shredded or riced potatoes. Oops, I'm getting a little flour all over. No biggie. I'm going to keep going with this until I have a texture that I like. Now, if you're doing a noodle dough for like a pierogi, you would have to have it be rolled out. So you have to have it be able to be formed into doughs and like that. This is the same recipe. It's like this would be probably, you would stop with the liquid about now if you were going to do some kind of a noodle or pierogi, and you just flour this up and work it in and roll it out so you can fill it. But in this case, with the dumplings, I'm going to go a little bit more moist. Not too thin. It's like a delicate balance, but I find with the dumplings, if you go a little bit more moist, you're going to end up with a fluffier, lighter dumpling. And so this is still a little thick. I think I'm just going to go even a little more. And I don't know the measurements. It's not even about the measurements. It's about the texture of looking at it. And you just got to kind of play it by ear. Okay, I think I'm about there. Yeah, this is good. So take a look at this texture. It's moist, a little gooey. It's thicker than pancake batter, that's for sure. It's definitely not that thin. It's about like that. That's about how you want it. It's sort of gooey, sort of pliable. So when you get it to be about like this texture, then that's the texture that I like for my dumpling dough. So you can play around with it a little bit either way, but I think this looks like about perfect. Okay, so we're going to make the dumplings. We got a pot of water boiling, and we're going to drop these in the water and make our dumplings. So I'll meet you back at the stove. Okay, so to make the dumplings, we made our batter, which is a nice kind of a consistency, sort of gooey. And then we're just going to put them in the water, and as they float to the top is when they're done. Now, size-wise, that's totally up to you. Some people like really, really big dumplings. I like very small dumplings. So I'm just going to take, this is like a little teaspoon that you stir your coffee with. And I'm just taking like about a half of one of those. Oops, I need to get my fork loose from here. So we go like this. Some's hanging off of it, no big deal. And I'm just going to put it right in the water. And I'm going to do a whole bunch of them at once, really. Keep putting them in the water. And what's going to happen, how that you know that your dumplings are done, is that they're going to float to the top. So when they float to the top, it's time to get them out. And you know, on this today I'm making the kibasi with cabbage, but if I were making chicken and dumplings, I would be the same thing. I would have the pot of chicken and dumplings right next to me, and as they were ready, I would just take them out and put them right in the pan. Okay, so I'm going to throw one more in, and then I think, because some are already starting to float to the top, I've got my slatted thing here. You need some sort of a slatted spoon. These are just as little, you know, like entrail things. So what? I'm going to throw them right in there. They're fine. As I said, I like smaller dumplings. Now also go along the bottom because they might be sticking to the bottom. I mean, they were in this case. I'm going to bring this right up. As you can see, like there's like 3 that are okay. They're ready to come out. And there's a couple that are still down there. They're not quite ready yet. I see that we just saw one just come up to the top. And then there's a couple down here, but they're not ready. So as they come ready, you just keep scooping them out with the thing, like so, and putting them into whatever you're using them for. Or you could just set them aside in a colander if you were going to make some kind of a different sauce later to put over them. Okay, so now that I've gotten these ready, dumplings too, I also like to have at a later, you know, let them sit around because they're going to absorb whatever, just like any noodle dish, they're going to absorb whatever sauce or other flavors that you've put on them. So you're going to end up with a better tasting dumpling, I think, if you let it sit around and maybe warm it up the next day or something. But it's good to eat right now too. So there you go. This is your basic dumpling. You can use this with anything. You can put potatoes in there. You could put cheese in there. You can put minced onions in there. You can put any kind of sauce you want over it. These are your basic Eastern European dumplings. Okay, I've finished my dumplings and I've got them down in the pan with the, in this case, it's the cabbage and noodles. And I like them like this. I like them all crazy odd shapes and everything. If you want to make them more like a round dumpling, then you wouldn't make them as gooey. You'd make them more like a dough, and you can roll them out round. But the same applies. You would just boil them in the water and then put them here. But this is how I know an Eastern European dumpling. Enjoy.